Well, Charlie, I want to thank you for sitting down and giving your narrative to the Library of Congress.
Okay.
This is Charles Gotham, and you like to go by Charlie?
Right. It's okay.
Okay. Well, Charlie, I want to, if you could, just tell us how you got involved in World War II. And originally you're from Canton, New York. No, I'm sorry, you live in Canton, Pennsylvania now.
Right.
You're originally from Potsdam, New York.
Mm-hmm. We moved down here in 1934. From there, down to Elmira.
Mm-hmm. And how old were you, or first of all, how did you get involved in the service?
I was drafted.
You were drafted. Okay.
Yeah, date of induction was 28 December 42.
And where did they where were you first mustered to? Where was your
date of induction was Binghamton.
Okay.
And I remember going down there, and we were inducted in there. Then they let us go home. They brought us back to Elmira, and then we entered the service January 4th, 1943.
Okay.
So they allowed us to have New Year's Eve home.
I gotcha.
And we went. I went to Fort Niagara. That was an induction center. Almost anybody from here went to Fort Niagara. And from there, well, we got our shots and we got our clothing and things like that. Then we were taken to, a group of us were taken to Biloxi, Mississippi for our basic training. And we were down there, I think we had 6 weeks. 6 weeks of training. And while I was in there, then they would ship you out, and there were different places or different organizations. Well, I was still in the Air Force, Army Air Corps.
But technically, Charlie, you were in the Army. You were in the Air Corps division.
Army Air Corps.
Right. Okay.
And so then I was walking down the street there in Biloxi on the base, Kieser Field, that's what it was.
Okay.
And while I was walking down there, it says, be an air gunner and be a sergeant in 6 weeks. I said, that's for me. So I walked in and I signed up.
Okay.
Signed up then to be an air gunner.
Right.
I didn't know what an air gunner was or anything like that, but it sounded good to me. I wasn't going to be a private, and I was going to be a sergeant in 6 weeks, so that sounded good to me. So I had to wait a little bit to get into a class, air gunner class, and finally after about 10 weeks, I was down there after the training, about 4 weeks, I went to Las Vegas, Nevada for air gunnery. And I was down there for 6 weeks. And we not only used we learned everything there was about guns.
For which airplane, Charlie, or were they
just just gunners.
I got you. They were just training you on guns in general.
Right, in general.
Air support guns.
Because we did training on ground, and you'd be back of a truck, and you're trying to hit a target that's moving. And then there was then we had a week of air. Well, then that was in AT-6, and I can't remember what that. Well, there was 3 of them. AT-6, a B-17, and I can't remember what that other one was.
The other airplane?
Yeah.
I see. Well,
it was an AT-11.
Okay.
And so we went out, we did that in the AT-6. You see those all the time. You go to any air show, you see AT-6s. So then, after that, we had graduation, and they shipped us to Denver, Colorado. And first, you went to Buckley.
Buckley.
Buckley Air Base.
I gotcha.
I think it was Air Base. And then there was another, Lorry Field. Lorry Field was also there. So we spent time at Buckley, and then we went to really get educated on turrets and things like that. We went to Lorry Field, which is right next door.
Right.
There in Denver. So after we spent time there, they thought we learned enough, and they shipped us. Then we left, and I went and to Salt Lake City, but and then I was shipped out to Tucson, Arizona from Salt Lake City.
Well, they're moving you around pretty good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Let me interrupt you for a second. Were you training up in the airplanes yet, or was this all ground training so far?
No, we flew in those AT-6.
Okay.
And you had a ring in the back seat, in the back of the pilot, and the top was off from it. And you had to. We had 30 calibers there, and they had a. Well, it was a tow target. He'd fly in there,
I gotcha.
You're shooting, and you had a certain color on your bullets.
So they know who
And
actually
so they know
who hit the target.
who hit the target.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And then the B-17, I think it was only on the wing, the waist area, that we had any trouble with that. And I can't remember what the AT-11 was.
Okay.
I can't remember that at all. But when we went from Salt Lake down to, then I got mixed up with a bomb group, and they were training down in, and we got on a plane. We were assigned a crew. We were assigned a pilot and co-pilot, and then we took a little training there. But then all of a sudden, they yanked me out with, well, I guess with the whole crew. Not that crew, but
Not the crew in a photograph.
yeah, this is way back.
This is one of your first.
Yeah, and then
Cruise.
we left there, and they said, you're going to Orlando, Florida. So I never did get my duffel bag unwrapped, you know. All I did was just take stuff out when I needed it. And
You never unpacked.
yeah, never unpacked. So I get down in Orlando, Florida, and I was assigned to, there was 4 crews, and we were in an advanced training down there. And we were being trained for lead crews when you got into a whole group, which is made up of 4 squadrons, and then we would be the top dog, and we were supposed to be trained.
Sort of the point airplane.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously the most dangerous aspect of the entire squadron.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could say that.
How did you feel about that?
Well, that didn't. When you don't have that feeling of danger or anything. It was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed ourselves. Like down in Orlando, we flew from Orlando, Florida to Corpus Christi.
Texas.
Yeah, Texas. I mean, you're over water.
Right.
But that's all you see, but it's enjoyable.
Sure.
Nothing bothering you. And nothing bothered us when we left there. And then we went to Biggs Field in El Paso. And I was there for about 3 or 4 weeks. And then we were sent to Pueblo, Colorado, and we got our group. That's when we formed the 491st group and the four squadrons. Mine was the 855th. Well, then but the ones that came in in there had already had the first phase, what we call first phase of training.
They were a little more
They were
experienced or
they were
farther along in their
someplace
training.
else, and they were along in their training. So, but we came in as a lead crew, and we actually ended right up just a regular crew. But while we were down in the colonel, he was a major at the time. He ended up being the CO of 855th. And then we had to get a new pilot. So that's when we got Ken Boyd, our pilot.
From the photograph?
Yeah, he's the one in the middle in the back.
What we'll do is I'd like to show this to the camera.
Okay.
So as growing up, did you ever think you'd be involved in such an operation?
No, I think mainly,
This is Ken Boyd right here?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So this is your crew.
You want me to take it?
Oh, I got it. I just
Oh,
wanted to,
okay.
you know.
Yeah, that's
So-
the crew.
So as growing up, you never thought you'd be involved in...
No, I liked, I did like airplanes.
Okay.
Down where Broadway School is, we used to, they used to have barnstormers come
Right.
in there.
That's correct.
And that was really the pole ground too. They played pole in that area.
Okay.
But that's when I had my first ride in an airplane. I was probably about 14.
Okay.
No. Probably about 10 or 12, something like that. But anyways, no, then we finished our training, 3 phases of training at Pueblo, Colorado, and we were told we were going overseas. You better go home. Get a furlough. We'll give you a furlough, and you go on home for 10 days, and then when you come back, you'll be going overseas.
Is this approximately...
Because it was March.
Right. Spring of '44, you're
I'm all through with my training and everything, in 12 months or 14 months.
Right.
So you get everything. You got basic training and air gunnery training.
Did you have the stripes like they promised you?
Yeah, it took them. I got PFC at gunnery school, and then when I got through with Buckley, they made me a buck sergeant.
Okay.
It took a few weeks longer, but I still got them. And so 3 stripes, and then when I went overseas, I got a tech or a staff sergeant,
Okay.
and that's what I ended up with. Well, so we came home here. I did, and spent the 10 days. There wasn't very many guys around, so there wasn't much to do.
All your buddies were
They
serving
were
in
already-
other...
Yeah, they were already there. And then, let's see. So then we got back into Pueblo, Colorado. We all came back from furlough, and we headed for overseas. And we didn't know what our order were for outside of the United States, but we knew where we had to go in the States.
Right.
And one was Harrington, Kansas was the first ride. And we went in there and they did something to the plane. It was they added something to it. I don't know what that was.
You weren't involved in that aspect of the plane operation?
No.
You were in charge of...
Well, there was, everybody that was an officer was a gunner.
Okay. I see.
And so, I mean, most of them knew as much as I did about, but you had to,
Right.
And so we left Harrington, Kansas, and we thought we'd take a little ride. And our bombardier, that's the one on the left. Here. The bombardier was that one.
That's the bomber.
Yeah, that's the
You
bombardier.
remember his name?
Tommy Watson.
Tommy Watson.
He's still alive.
Good for...
And so is the pilot, Ken Boyd is still alive.
Okay.
I see Ken about every year. But Tommy Watson lives in, I think, Little Rock, Arkansas. And I have seen him once since 45, 44. And so, let's see. So we left, and here's Harrington, Kansas up here, and we had to go to Florida. But here's Little Rock down here. And so the officers they decided that they would, the pilot decided to go to Little Rock and buzz the town. So Tommy threw out a message to his girlfriend.
Wow.
And when we were buzzing, we were really low.
Fairly, okay.
So we got through there, and it was a big spread in the paper in Little Rock. And then we went on to, I can't remember. It's down
You said
in the southern
Florida.
part of Florida.
Not Pensacola's farther north.
Yeah, that one way down by Miami. It's,
Okay.
I can't. Morrison? Might have been Morrison.
Uh-huh.
And so then they told us, we stayed there for just a day, and we got our orders to go overseas, and we got out on, they told us to fly such and such, and when we got out there, Boyd opened up the thing telling us where we were going. That's when we found out we were going.
You opened
to
the
England.
orders, the sealed orders?
The sealed orders, and we
Okay.
knew we were going to England. And so we flew from Florida to Belém, Brazil, and we just spent a night, and then we took off the following night, and we went to Dakar, and Africa, and that was 12 hours flying. Then we left there and we went up to Marrakech, that French
North Africa, right.
North Africa. And by that time we were out of money, and so Tommy, the bombardier, he was our finance officer. We appointed him that, so he could get some money for us. So he got us some money, and we went into Marrakech, and it's a very bad town. It was. I mean, it was just crummy. I wouldn't want to go back there at all. Even maybe they probably cleaned it up a little bit, but it was terrible. Well, anyways, we took off from there and we went out on the ocean, and we came into England.
You took a roundabout way to get there.
Yeah, we had to go out Spain, Portugal, and all the way around, and then into England. And we went right into our base that we were assigned. And then we got assigned our barracks and everything, and we were in those Quonset huts,
Right.
metal buildings. Well, let's see. We flew a few missions there. I can't remember the name of the town. Midway, no.
Into continental Europe, or?
Yeah, we flew, it was just, well, we practiced a little bit.
Flying
That was
over
in May.
flying over northern England or
Yeah,
Scotland or
yeah,
Wales,
over
Scotland.
there, Scotland or England. There's a lot of land there you can fly over. And we, just for practice and getting more in tune with what we're supposed to, especially in flying formation. And the guys were pretty good about that, but they had to sharpen themselves up. And that's when they got sharpened up. They were told to sharpen up or leave. And or they couldn't fly anymore. They were tough about it. And well, anyways, we left. D-Day was the 6th, and I think
I mean, you got there around the end of March or beginning of April.
May.
May, okay.
We got there in May.
So you got there about a month before D-Day.
Yeah. And I flew on the 2nd, the 4th, and the 7th.
Of June?
Yeah. So I flew the 2 days before on a mission, and then I flew on a day after D-Day.
Yes.
And
Your mission before, was it a drop of bomb, reconnaissance?
so it was all bombs.
Okay.
The flak, the first one, flak was intense, and it's hard to. If you ever seen any of these shows where it's all black,
They show the black bursts.
Yeah, well, that's when you say it's intense. And the next one there was none, and then we went into on the 7th it was light.
So already the air defenses of the Germans had been almost neutralized.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Well, they moved all that down. Once we get in there, they moved all the anti-aircraft back to all the towns back into Germany.
I see.
And so, well, and then on June 20th, we were in a place, went into a place called Winterness,
Winterness?
France.
Okay.
Winernes, I think it is. France.
Right.
And on our way back, we were right on the edge of the continent, coming into the North Sea there, or the sea.
You're heading back to England.
And heading back to England. One burst of flak came to the right near the tail, and it killed the tail gunner.
Wow.
And that was the 20th.
He's not in this picture, is he?
Oh yeah, Jareth's the second, right here, on the other end.
That gentleman right there?
Yeah,
What was his name?
Robert Jareth.
And he got killed on the.
Well, he didn't. He got hit.
He got wounded.
And what it did was move the spine one direction as hard another. And we hauled him out of the tail turret and brought him up into the waist area. And we got oxygen on him, but we couldn't find where he was hit. Because he got all this stuff on
All that gear on.
Yeah, and so Ken broke, I think he got permission because you weren't supposed to do this. He broke formation and got as much out of the plane as he could, and he got into our air base.
He lightened the load on the plane to make it a little faster, or
No, he gave it to gas.
I gotcha.
And
Increase the.
when he got, and so he got there, and they took him off the plane, and Ken went right to the air hospital with him, but he died in the hospital.
I see.
And the hard part about that was that Bob's brother was killed he was a Marine, and he was killed in Tarawa, in the Battle of Tarawa.
So Bob and his brother, their parents lost.
All family.
Boy.
See, there were only
Yes.
two boys.
Right.
Well,
That had to be difficult for the parents.
so then we just, it was kind of, most of the missions were, by now you're starting to feel what's going on, you know.
You mean you're getting a little more experience?
Yeah, and you're feeling,
You know what you're up against?
Yeah, hey, this could happen to me, you know.
Right.
But anyways, we stuck in there, and then in November 44, Ken and all the rest of the crew but me had 35 missions in, and that's what you're supposed to have. They changed it.
Right. I think I realized that.
Went from 30 to 35 or something like that.
You're supposed to.
So But I was let off on the mission where we dropped supplies into Belgium, and we took the ball turret out. They took the ball turret out so we could drop supplies. And
What's a ball turret?
well,
Part of the airplane.
yeah,
I got you.
that was right underneath.
One of the guns.
Yeah, well, it had two 50 calibers in it, and it was a round thing, and you sat in it, and you brought it up to get it up into the plane. You could pump it with
A hydraulic lift.
hydraulic lift, yeah,
So you could, okay.
and then you had to put the guns down like that, and then you open it up, and you got out of it.
I see.
And so that's how you would drop it down before you got in it, and then you put the gun straight down, and then you would drop down.
I got you.
I was in that in about 6 missions,
I see.
and
But now you're taking supplies to Belgium, so that more or less became like a loading area,
yeah, so
less of a defensive.
all of us, all the B-24s, as far as I know, dropped supplies into Belgium.
In support of the.
Yeah, that was in September.
Okay.
And well, they didn't need so many guys running around. They'd rather have so you could put supplies in there. So I volunteered to stay home. So I didn't see any reason because we were
The fear of
well, no, not that.
Allied airplanes wasn't as great. I mean,
No,
of
no.
Nazi airplanes.
Yeah, but let me get my.
Yeah, take your time,
Yeah.
Charlie. Take your time.
We were quite sure that at that time that we were finishing with the pilot. If he got his 35, the rest of the crew got it.
I see.
Got 30. They
Right.
were.
Once a pilot did 35, his
the
entire crew
rest- yeah.
got credit for it.
I suppose under a certain circumstances, if you lacked 10 or 15 missions, they wouldn't let you get away with
Right.
that.
So you were looking at the end of your flying.
I figured that what the devil, like in September, I don't know what number that was, but
You attempted fate enough.
yeah, well, that was all right with me. And
He's a brave guy, isn't he? Huh?
so let's see.
Well, Charlie, let me ask you a question here while you're checking
Yeah.
your manuscript.
That was 8/13,
Okay.
I think. No,
8/13.
It was 9 in September.
September 13th.
Well, it wasn't 13th, but it was in September.
Okay.
So they finished there. We lost one ship that day out of our group, and then we went right back to our old standby flying mission. So came in October or November. Ken got his 35th mission. Then they told us that you had to finish. Everybody had to have 35.
But you had to be fairly close to that number.
I had 34.
Okay.
See, because I was off on that one.
I got you.
So I questioned it, and I said, everybody else is leaving when the pilot gets his 35th. Well, no, we changed it. Well, I said, okay, and they said, besides, you're going to stay here for 3 months to be an instructor. And I said, why? Well, we don't have anybody else that got any experience.
You
So-
didn't necessarily see this as an honor then.
No. Well, I'm not going to get into that. But anyways, so my 34th was with Ken, was on 11/9. And I said, so I went out and and I was instructor, and I go out when the planes land and talk to the guys and help them in the armament shack, clean their guns and get them ready for the next day and everything, all that stuff. And I know I wasn't reporting. Well, I did have a lieutenant or a captain that was a chief armament officer, but he didn't pay attention to you. You were just you completed your mess.
He had confidence in you.
Oh yeah.
He knew you knew what you were doing.
So we fooled around there, and but I knew I had to do one more.
Right. I was gonna.
So it came to 11:26. Now I flew my last in that 34th in 11:09. 11:26. I made up my mind I was going to fly that day. So I went and I hunted around for a good crew to fly with, and geez, I found one with Captain Metcalf, and he was lead crew, and he needed a waist gunner, and I said, boy, that's the one I want to fly with. So I went with him, and we went in to well, anyways, the target was can't find half of these things.
Well, hey, that's all right, Charlie.
Hanover, Midburg,
Okay.
Germany.
Right, you flew over Germany.
Went on the 26th, went into there, and we met flak. We met fighters, and German fighters. And by the time we got home, we'd lost 16 ships.
Out of
Out
how
of
many?
30.
Out of 30.
Out of 30.
Wow. Now the American planes were leading daytime raids over Germany, if I'm not mistaken.
The Americans were, and the English were nighttime.
Nighttime.
Yeah, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? You know?
I think we could have had a better plane, but we weren't prepared. The 24 was a good plane. Everybody said, "Oh, that's just a bundle of bolts," you know. But it was really, I thought, it was a good plane. I liked it better than I did the 17.
Okay.
But there's most people who give me an argument on that. But we carried more bombs. We were faster, and we didn't think that we could fly higher than them, but they claimed they could. But I don't think the 24 could, but maybe. Well, so I finished that. And
Your 35th mission, you
35th.
you really pushed your luck, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what did you feel when you landed back in England after that one?
Well, they said.
Did you find your old crew and say, boy,
Well, they'd already gone home.
they're already back to the
Yeah, the
States?
lousy crumbs. I mean,
They didn't even wait for you to have a...
they were waiting for well, if you could get out of this one. And we had a good crew too.
Well, no, I was just going to say, how did you feel about breaking up a crew where you had been with for 34?
Well, it was tough,
Yeah, I mean,
but
now you're...
everybody. We did go down to London together, and we did have one hell of a time. But they had gone, and so we're. So then I had to have 4 hours of flying, so to get my flying pay. So I would just go out and somebody was hopping. They were going to
Train over England.
yeah, training and everything. So I'd go up and I'd fly, get my 4 hours in,
Right.
and then I wouldn't do any more. And so I get half pay. See, I mean time and a half. So, well, then around February, my time was up over there. My
February
3 months.
45.
45, my time was up, so they told me I was going home. And I forgot all this time that I was over there, I forgot to write home. And
Almost a year.
no, from the time that I finished in November to February.
I see. I got you.
That 3-month period.
Right. Well, shame on you, Charlie.
I know it. That was terrible. The Red Cross were after me and everything else. Well, I came home, and on board ship, the war was over with in Europe.
In May.
In May.
Right.
I was.
You were en route.
Well, there was another story there. When I got into the place where you go to get out of there, I don't know what they call them.
What do they call it? A center?
Yeah, center of.
Not a debriefing center,
but where they send you, get you all set to go home.
Right.
Well, anyway, I had my wallet stolen, and I reported it, and they caught the guy who's another GI, and I had to stay for a trial.
I see.
So that's why from February to May, I didn't.
You were still in
I
England.
was still in England, and I'm waiting for the trial.
I see.
And I finally got through with the trial, and it took all I could do to get my money. I didn't have much, but I knew how much I had. And they finally gave that to me, or I'll send it to me. I can't remember what. But anyways, so I came into Fort Dix. Well, on board ship, the war's over with, and I had 91 points. And you only have to have 85, I think it was. So I knew I was going to get out of the service.
You were going to be mustered out as soon as you got back to
Just
Dix.
as soon as I got into Dix. See?
Right.
And so I get into Dix, and they started to get us out of the service.
Very good.
And they mustered us out, and I got out in May 25th. So I didn't have much time in the service, but I had a nice trip.
Well, I think the time you were in the service, you did a lot.
Yeah.
35 missions is certainly quite a bit. So that's more than you. You certainly had your share of action. Let me ask you a couple of questions, if I could, Charlie.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned, I don't think you were a very good letter writer. How did you stay in touch with your family?
While I was in England, I wrote.
Okay.
I wrote 3 or 4 times a week.
Oh, that's good. Your mom and dad were back here in Elmira?
Yeah.
Did you have any brothers in the service?
No, they were all younger.
I see. You were the oldest. Okay.
Yeah, the boys. I'm the oldest.
Right.
And so we. No, I wrote religiously to mother and dad, and my future wife. I wrote her, and so then. But I didn't. I don't know what got into me, but I didn't write there in February to May. That's when I didn't write.
Maybe you felt you were going to be getting out so quickly, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, and but I got out May 25th, and then they took the train to Syracuse because a guy had won $3,500 in a poker game, and he says, "I gotta go to Syracuse. Where are you going?" I said, "Elmira." He said, "Well, why don't you go to Syracuse?" And I said, "Well, how am I going to get to Elmira?" He said, "Oh, you'll find a way." He says, "I don't want to go up there, be on any train with $3,500. And I said, "All right."
You were like a bodyguard.
I went to Syracuse, and I hitchhiked from Syracuse to Elmira.
Did a guy give you $5 or anything to?
Nah. And I don't even know what his name is.
I think he would have given you some coffee money or something.
So that was my experience in the service.
Well, that was your mission experience. So, but I want to ask you a couple questions about some of the other aspects, if I could. Now, I think one of the questions we like to ask is, what was the food like? But I think you probably did all right because you were on a base. But what were your thoughts about the food?
Well, the food was pretty good. We had English rations, because we were on their bases. And their food isn't up to ours. You have to think that. And we had powdered milk and powdered eggs. We didn't have any fresh eggs that I remember. I don't know. I didn't mind it. I was never a heavy eater. I'd rather have half a dozen candy bars than to go into the mess hall.
Okay.
But that's the way it was. But now, one thing I would like to say is that on Christmas, no, Thanksgiving in '44, we were invited. We met this. The radio operator met this fellow in a pub, and he says, "Why don't you boys come for your Thanksgiving to my house?" Well, he was making $16 a week, and he was patching up the runways and things.
He was a British civilian?
British civilian.
Uh-huh.
And so we said, okay, well, we got ham and we got, I think there was a frozen chicken or turkey, I don't know what it was. And we took it.
Oh, you brought it.
We brought the food. And they were, and Mama, well, when we ate, there was so many of us, there was 6 of us, they had us set up all by themselves, and they had another table in another room. And that kind of upset us a little bit, but, well, there's no way they could do it. Well, then we, this is just a little story.
No, this is the interesting. This is the aspects that are interesting.
Yeah. So then, when we ate, we said, "You clear out, and we'll do the dishes." Well, you know, they don't have all the facilities that we do, and so we told them we wanted one dish. We'll wash it, and then we want another dish, another pan, and so they heated the water, and we got them going. The soap, and the soap was the bar soap. You can make suds out of it if you could. Tried, and well, she says, "What are you going to do with that other pan?" This is before we got going on anything.
You were going to use it for rinse water.
We said, "Well, we're going to rinse the dishes."
Okay.
Rinse the dishes? What do you mean? Well, we rinse dishes after we wash them. And I said, she says, "Well, we don't. We just take them out of the suds and drain them and wipe them." And we said, "Well, today they're being rinsed." And so,
good for you.
So she just stood there and watched us. You know, she's very curious of how we acted in the kitchen, and but well, that was
very nice of.
It was excellent. I mean, they were very, very nice people.
Right.
And they had a nice little house.
Is this right in London, or?
No, this was right in North Pickingham.
North Pickingham.
We have moved from one bomb dump or bomb base, air base, to another one because of a bomb dump blew up.
Oh.
And so we moved over to North Pickingham, and that was in that little town. It was small. I mean, a couple pubs is about the only thing that's there, and well, that was.
Now you were overseas for one Christmas that same year.
That 44.
Now, how did you celebrate Christmas that year when you were overseas?
Well, I think I was right there at the base.
Right.
They had a good meal.
The
our own
Mess hall put on a nice meal.
Oh yeah, they always on Thanksgiving or Christmas, you know, they were always excellent meals. I used to accuse them because the mess hall was kind of in the middle, and the officers ate here and the enlisted men ate here, and I always said that the good pieces of the chicken went over to the officers when we got the junk, you know, and
they got all the breasts and the white meat.
they would get all mad at me, and but we had that was about it.
Oh, gosh.
So that was my life.
Well, that was your military life.
Well, then after I get out, I might as well finish it off.
Go right ahead.
After I get out of the service, I got married in 45. 46, I went to Niagara University, and I got a BBA, and I graduated in 1950. And
let me interrupt you for a second. Was it the GI Bill?
On the GI Bill.
Very good. Got your college education was financed on the GI Bill.
And we lived at Fort Niagara.
Okay.
They had made that into housing. And that's where Ann and her husband came in up there at Fort Niagara.
Okay. You're a Niagara Falls girl, are you? Oh.
I just got married, and he was going to Niagara. You know.
I see. I got you.
And we became
So-
good friends.
That's where I met her. See,
Oh, okay.
we met her. The four of us went around quite a bit together.
Great.
And so, let's see, we lived out at Fort Niagara. And I was up there 3.5 years, and Ann was there about 2. Jack, her husband, was already had 2 years of college.
I see.
And so he got his finished up, got his degree up there. And, we worked around.
What was your degree in again?
It was a Bachelor of Business Administration.
I got you. Okay. What was your first civilian job from after the service?
I mean, after I got my degree?
Right. Your career, first career.
Well, I was with Sun Oil Company.
Okay.
And that was when I guess they're still out in Big Flats.
Yeah.
And I worked right there at the terminal.
Okay.
And then I got transferred to Binghamton, to the office, main office, and then let's see.
Where was the main office?
Well, not the main office, but the
Regional.
branch office.
I got you. Yeah.
Down Binghamton.
I see.
And while I was down there, let's see. Oh, I know. I went with GLF or Agway.
Okay.
I was a traveling auditor with them. I had an office. Final office was down in Somerville, New Jersey.
So your military training really didn't help you in your civilian career so much.
No, but it taught me how to pack. And,
Travel light.
yeah. And
Okay.
so then I was with them, and another guy and I went business and for a couple years, and then I went made an application for. I started out at Lourdes Hospital in the office,
Lourdes Hospital in Binghamton?
Binghamton,
Uh-huh.
and I ended up being vice president there.
Well, congratulations. So your military training certainly gave you a
Gave me a good background.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Gave you the confidence and
it didn't bother me a bit.
you know that's the impression I get is
Yeah,
you were on some dangerous missions and
yeah.
you doesn't seem to phase you.
You know, if you could copy this, I'd blow my own horn, but I'm getting my DFC.
Well, congratulations. Now, who's that? Is that the commanding officer?
Well, I don't know who it was.
I'll have to check on this. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to. What I'll do is see if we can. I'll leave this with you and see if we can make a copy. I don't know if we can do it right now. Copy
Yeah.
of the photo,
Yeah.
but that's quite an honor. So you hang on to that, and I can get back to you.
Okay. And we'll.
That's good. I wanted to just hold up a couple pictures of your planes. Put them on the recorder. If you want to just
Okay.
describe that plane briefly.
Well, every one of our planes, ours was a green on top and bottom on the tail, and they had a number on them, F plus, P minus, O plus, and this doesn't show it, but the tail underneath the star is the Balter,
Right. That.
right there.
Yes.
You don't see it now. This is a nose turret, and the tail turrets they're back here, and this. Right by the V, there's a door or a window,
Uh-huh.
and that opened up on the inside. You pulled it and it hooked up, and there was in front of it. There was a like the old-fashioned on the cars when they had the window,
Right.
whatever you call them, right in front of the window.
A little breeze. The window gave you a little breeze there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a shutter.
Well, shutter. Well, that's what was on there, and you had to push that out because that wind would hit you inside.
So it was like a windbreaker.
Yeah, so that broke the wind, and then you stuck your gun out, and
Okay.
so you could move around in there.
I see.
And the pilot and the co-pilot are up in here, and right in back of them is the radio operator, and on the top, you can't see it. Yeah, it's right here. Top turret is the engineer, and he stood on takeoff and landing. He was always between the pilot and co-pilot and back of them, and standing like this. And both of the guys are here.
Overlooking their shoulders.
And check and make sure all the gadgets there.
Mechanical gauges.
Yeah, the gauges and everything were working properly.
Okay.
And that was probably some of the engineer's job. And then when we got up in the air, he got up into the top turret,
I see.
and that he was a gunner too. See?
Oh,
And,
okay. So he was. He had dual roles.
Oh yeah, yeah. So and the radio operator, he didn't have a turret, but he knew how to shoot a gun. But he stayed with us on the. He had a bench, and down in here was the bombardier and the navigator. And the navigator had his own little work area, bench and everything, and he did all his navigation. And the bombardier, right about right there, he's looking at with a Norton bomb sight.
Right.
And so, I got to tell you about the Norton bomb sight. But you know, they made the Norton bomb sight down here, and
In Elmira Heights, didn't they?
no, down the old Rand Pond.
Okay. Okay.
And,
On the south side here.
Yeah.
Right.
And so all the guys, I worked at Rand before I went to service, and I knew quite a few guys, and they were older and they didn't go into service, or else they went in the 28 and they kicked them out. They were too old. So they were all transferred down to the Norton plant, and they all made that putt-putt little engine that went into the plane to generate, if you weren't running anything, it's like a little
It's a smaller engine.
smaller engine, you know, and
Okay.
we call them the putt-putt. And but it was enough to generate, if you wanted to look around in the plane, certain lights were in the plane, and you could run that.
I see.
And
Without turning the main engine on.
yeah. So they were made down here. Too.
Oh, I did not know that.
Well, in March, when I came home in March of 44. Yeah, 44. See, I'd been through that Norton bomb site, the whole thing. I helped take them apart, and I helped put them
You knew them
together.
inside
So
now.
I knew something about them.
Right.
I didn't know beans, probably, but I knew something about it. So I went down here to the Norton plant, and I said, I went over the gate, and I said, I'd like to sign in. I'd like to go in and see the guys from portable typewriters that are still down here in the plant. Oh, you can't go in there. I said, what do you mean I can't go in there? Well, that is strictly not for you to see. And so I said, geez, what's so hot about the Norton bomb site? I said, I've been playing around with those for quite a while. And the guy wouldn't let me in.
Really? He thought you were a...
I knew he wouldn't.
Yeah.
I just did it. But
Wasn't that interesting, though, that they were made on the south side and you were actually using them over in this
Yeah.
war?
oh, they were beautiful.
I know, they were a very
Yeah.
valuable tool.
You almost run out.
I got about a few minutes, and then I want to change the tape and just ask you a few more questions.
Okay.
I thought this leaflet you brought in was interesting, Charlie.
Yeah.
This is a
Propaganda leaflet.
from the Allies.
Yeah.
Here, why don't you describe it briefly?
Okay. Well, we used to, we had dummy bombs, and they were, I think they were 250-pound casings, and they would be stuffed with these as, and then we would drop the bomb out. It would be with the rest of the live bombs, and that would just float away with the people on the ground to get a hold of them. And we did a couple of them. Most of the time you didn't know that you had propaganda leaflets. But that's what this one is. It does have something on the back, but I messed that up.
No, I think this is held up pretty well. It just says safe conduct. The German soldier who carries this safe conduct is using it as a sign of his genuine wish to give himself up. He is to be disarmed, to be well looked after, to receive food and medical attention as required, and to be removed from the danger zone as soon as possible. Dwight Eisenhower.
Yeah,
And it's in German and English.
yeah,
I think that's very interesting.
yeah. So,
No, we just got about a minute left, Charlie, and I'm going to change the tape. So carry on for a minute, catch your breath, whatever you want here. I don't want
Okay.
you to...
I'd like a drink of water.
Well, sure, we'll get you one.
Uh,
Let me just stop this here. Take a break.
Would you like a drink of water? Huh? No? But I wanted to,
If there is one around.
yeah, this one isn't anything to do with, where the devil is it now?
You kept your records in good shape.
Well, yeah, these are actually the records.
I see that. Your military records.
Yeah, all my military.
Now, how did you get access to those?
They gave them to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, anyway, my father, he was in the 9th Division, and he wasn't as good a record keeper as you are.
Oh, here it is.
Probably glad to get out of it.
Well, I think so, but
Oh, but here, on here, this is interdepartment communication in the Wool Run. And it says, to Mr. R. Moore, Office of the H. Bennett Wool Run, January 11th, 45. Dear Bob, now this is my uncle. Please accept Mrs. Place, that's my mother, Mrs. Charles Gotham's, my sister, and my appreciation for the fine morning at the Wool Run Bomber Plant during their tour this week. It goes without saying that this could not have been possible if it were not for your kind expression of cooperation. I want you to know we all appreciate the courtesy very much. My sister, Mrs. Gotham, will have
Your ma'am.
Yeah. We have lots to tell her family upon her return to Elmira, as well as her son now in France, who just completed his missions over Germany as a waist gunner on one of our B-24s.
Oh, that's interesting.
Again, Bob, I say thank you very much. And it's my uncle.
Were those planes made in Long Island? Or
No, Detroit.
Detroit? Okay.
Will Run.
Oh,
You know, they built that Will Run plant to build 24s.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And,
Well, that's interesting.
yeah, so,
Well, let's get you a drink of water here.
okay.
Let me just stop this. Because that is quite. Explain this again, this little ceremony.
Well, that was in November of '44, and I was presented with the Distinguished Flying Cross.
Right.
Now, let me explain just a little bit of what the Distinguished Flying Cross is. You had to complete a tour normally, and you didn't have to. Well, you didn't have to be a hero or anything like that, but you did have to have. I suppose you had to have your
35 missions?
35 missions, or how many there were.
Whatever they require.
Because the air medal, we got an air medal for every 5 missions, and I got 5 air medals.
You should have got 7.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. There might be 6. Well, no, they didn't give you one for the last one.
I gotcha.
I think that's the way it worked.
Right.
They give you this.
But now that's the head of your squadron that's giving you the DFC?
No, it's a colonel, but
Colonel?
full colonel, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, that's still quite an honor. Well, Charlie, I just wanted, on the second tape here, if you have any recollections of practical jokes, or you mentioned a couple times you went to London on leave for entertainment, but do any practical jokes come to mind to try and break up some of the boredom of camp life, or was there always something going on that the boredom wasn't such a factor?
Well, in London they had a lot of activity going on in London, regardless of how many bombs are dumped on it. There was a can't remember the name of it, but it was a big dance hall right there in Piccadilly Circus, near Piccadilly Circus, and
The Hippodrome?
no, I can't.
Well, that had to be a popular place.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but that they had a lot of, and also nightclubs, and 9 chances out of 10 you had to bring your own bottle because it just, booze was too expensive, especially scotch. We spent a lot of time in pubs, just simple pubs instead of nightclubs and all that. One thing I do remember is that we went into this, it was like a stage show, but all the girls, the lights were dim, and the girls, they had a little booths, maybe 5-6 feet wide, and they had all the girls on the stage, and they were naked, but they didn't move like a stripper
Or a burlesque show or a
burlesque
stripper.
show. That was just a backdrop of, I don't know what else they did there.
It wasn't like for amateur photography or anything.
No, and it was very dim light.
Right.
I mean, you had to strain, to see anything.
Was still a little welcome break from.
Yeah, you just go in, pay your money, and see the girls up there.
This had to be a popular show.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about practical jokes among the crew? Now there was 7 in your crew, and you guys had to be
There was 10 of us.
10 of us. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you guys worked close together. You slept in the same barracks.
Yeah. Well, the enlisted men had their own.
Right.
Officers had theirs.
Okay. But you still spent a lot of time together, so.
Well, we used to joke with the navigator, who was a real small guy. And here he is, a first lieutenant, and he'd come out there, and he had a lot of clothes on. And then the last thing you put on was your harness for your parachute. And he'd come out there, and all of his papers and everything, and almost every day he would come out there, and he'd have his harness thrown over his shoulder and everything, and then he'd say, "Will somebody help me put my harness on? I can't get it on." So we'd get it on, and then we'd lift him right up in the air, and and then he would get mad at us. But he never quit because he had to have somebody help him put it on.
He needed the help.
But he never, stuff like that. And, well, I suppose we used to say, Abe Ackerman. He was he was the first navigator we had.
Is he in this picture?
No,
Okay.
no. And he would, he said something there, and he never drove a car. He was from New York. Never drove a car. And so down in Pueblo, Colorado, he stole a Jeep or something, and got to get down the end of the runway, and he got off the end of the runway, and he got in the mud, and he left it right there. And then he comes back and he says, "Hey, you guys, I can't get that car or that Jeep or whatever it was out of the mud down the end of the runway." Well, we said, "What are we supposed to do about it?" And well, come on and help me. And I said, and we'd say, "Forget it, Abe. Nobody's going to. They'll find it and they'll pull it out of there and they'll take care of it. Nobody knows the difference. We won't say anything." Well, we got down in Belgium, and we came out of the. We'd been eating, and then we'd resting, and then we came down to the office where we were going to sign up for a plane to go to Africa, and there was a lot of Jeeps out front, and we said to the guy in there, "Hey, where's our plane?" They told us it was way down the end down there. And, "Well, where are we going to go?" He said, "Oh, there's lots of Jeeps out there." And yeah, okay. So we didn't pay much attention, and I hopped into the Jeep, and the guy got in, and off we go down the plane. And Jesus, we just about got in the plane, right underneath the wing. Here comes an MP, and he wanted to know who the SOB was that stole his Jeep. And nobody's going to tell me, no?
Right.
And they said, I said to Ken, I said, "Gee, don't say anything to me." I said, "You'll keep me here." And the guy, he ran it and raved, and pretty soon he had another guy with him, so they took the Jeep back. And he says, "But you'll hear from me." They finally found out that it was me. And he says, "Well, you'll hear from me on the way when you get to the car." Well, you never heard anything from him.
I see.
Probably a normal occurrence, but I said, "This is a good way to start going overseas.
Wow.
You get hung up in Blim
And
Brazil."
red tape.
Yeah.
I'm curious. You mentioned it was your first stop when you were traveling over
that
there.
was
Why Brazil? I thought Brazil was a neutral country.
Oh no.
No?
Well, we had an air base there.
Okay, so obviously I'm
it was a
mistaken.
jump off for Africa.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was supporting the Allied cause.
Well, we were in Trinidad. We stopped at Trinidad, and then we went to Belém.
Right.
And nobody ever said. I really don't know.
No, you're probably right. I'm mistaken.
I don't know anything
Well,
about that.
well, you certainly
Yeah.
got a tour of the world there.
Oh,
How about your? You speak very highly of your fellow crew and your officers. How about the Germans? What were your thoughts about them as your opponents, your enemies?
Well, to tell you the truth, we didn't run into any.
No, because you were.
But we just felt that they were doing the same thing as we were doing, running for the government, and I don't know. Well, we got an awful lot of. I've got a picture of two guys coming in that came in from France after their plane was shot down, and they were all dressed up in old clothes and everything, and but the civilians were tough on us.
The English?
No,
oh,
the Germans.
The Germans.
The German civilians were real tough. They killed a lot of.
Any pilots that went down?
Yeah, any of the crew.
Right.
Didn't make any difference. Certain ones. I mean, not all of them, but
right.
I suppose if you had your place bombed, and here comes floating down some jerk from England, you'd probably be really teed off yourself.
Right.
But,
so that was something as
yeah.
Anybody on a mission was aware.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's what happened to our navigator. He was afraid. He really. He was in a nervous state after about 16 missions, and it made you feel bad to go over there and you're getting shot at and everything. And he came back and he says, I'm going to quit flying. And he says, I'm not going to go over there and get knocked down and then end up being fat. Be boiled down for soap. I mean, he
was that the
he had that feeling that somebody was going to grab him and kill him.
If he had a parachute into Germany,
yeah.
He felt that they were going to boil him alive and make soap.
Yeah, something like that.
Was that like a common folklore?
No,
story?
That was him.
His thought.
That was from him.
That is
and
different.
He quit, and they put him to work. See, they can't make you fly. That was one thing. I mean, we were paid for flying 50% of your salary, and then you get the rank. And the rank isn't any good, but I mean,
it had privileges.
It had some privileges, and so you just.
But they didn't want They didn't want men flying who weren't 100%.
For flying, or
right, 100% for their mission and flying.
Yeah.
That slight hesitation might have been a problem, or.
Oh yeah. I think I knew a couple of the high monkey monk officers that I felt sorry for him, but he says, well, I got a wife and 2 kids, and this is really working on him, that going on missions and have 5 or 6 bombers go down, and then you come home again and you're worried about it. But he was really worried that he was going to go, and he had his family and everything. But we were all, even though I was drafted, I was enlisted. I enlisted in the Army Air Corps as a gunner. It had nothing to do with the.
They didn't draft you into the Army Air Corps.
Draft me for that.
I got you.
You volunteered. You volunteered for that. I got a nephew that he's dead now, but he was a colonel in the reserve, and he looked this all up. And he says, I never knew that. And one day he said to me, he says, all of you guys were volunteers. And I said, what do you mean? Well, he says, you volunteered to do what you did. I said, I did. I thought that was only with one-armed guy trying to wheelbarrow.
Now, this you mentioned a couple of your crew members were nervous about coming back on missions. Did you have any lucky pieces? Anything any routine that you followed on before every mission that you felt was lucky, or did you feel any superstition, or did any of the guys you were flying with, did they have any superstitions or lucky pieces? Something that they felt was important to bring them back?
I hate to tell you this, but I wore the same heavy wool socks on every mission. Never washed them.
You felt they were lucky piece,
They
or
were a lucky piece.
why are you embarrassed to say that? It got you back.
Yeah,
So you say that, but why would you focus on the socks? Just,
I don't know.
yeah. So they went on to 35 missions with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I even brought them home,
there you go. I would hope so.
but I don't know where they are now.
Wow. You must have really thought there on that 35th mission, when 16 out of your 30 planes did not make it back.
Yeah.
You must have really thought those socks were working well that day.
Well, I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, Charlie. I'm just checking a couple other questions here. You mentioned the day your service ended. You were down in Dix, and then you had to go up to Syracuse.
Yeah.
Are you a member of Veterans Organization?
I've been American Legion for 60 years.
Good for you. There
Yeah.
you go. Other than the flying, the 35th mission medal, did you have any other medals or citations?
Well, the Air Medal, and then the Europe, what do they call it? Oh, there's a name for it. Well, you can't knock this one. I had the Good Conduct Medal
Very good.
and the Distinguished Flying Cross
Very good.
and the Air Medal with 4 bronze oak leaf clusters and the European, African, Middle Eastern Service Medal. Never did get that medal. I don't know why.
You got the citation, though.
Yeah, I got the Good Conduct. No, I didn't. Yes, I did too. Distinguished Flying Cross and the oak leaf clusters. Yeah,
Well, I think that was...
that.
That was certainly quite a few there. How about were you always confident in your equipment, specifically like in your case, the airplanes, but did you ever worry that maybe your gun wouldn't work on a mission, or how was your overall confidence in the equipment?
Well, I thought that was good. Of course, you had to do your own guns. You had to get the right headspace and everything, and the right amount of oil. You don't get too much oil because it'd freeze up and all that stuff. Although they claim that oil wouldn't freeze, but that was you. You had to do those every night after you came from a mission. You had to clean them, and then when you came out, you would dry them all off. When you came out in the morning, if you were going the next day, and you knew whose guts they were for the 50.
What do you mean by guts?
Well, the inside.
The
of
inside
the
of the gun. The
It
inside
had-
of the machine gun.
Yeah, it had parts that we had to be able to do in the dark, you know.
I see.
And
Know them inside and out. Know them
Yeah,
blindfolded.
yeah.
I see. Now,
So-
by your plane come back, and then when the plane comes back, you do all that maintenance on your gun, and then the next day the plane might take off on another mission, or was always your crew on that plane?
no, it was everybody. You didn't have your own plane. No, we flew one quite a few times, but not what I would consider our plane.
I understand. Yeah.
No,
The planes were going up every day, or
mostly every day.
right. that time of the war.
Well, they were putting up practically 30 planes every mission.
Now, I mentioned earlier, like the Americans flew over Germany during the day, and the British flew over Germany at night.
Mm-hmm.
The night flying was considered safer or more.
They thought so.
Right. The
so
British.
did a lot of people here.
What do you think?
Well, boy, they could see us.
Yeah.
But you couldn't see us, at night. They had, the searchlight would pick them out. They had nice, powerful searchlights.
The Germans did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I suppose they could line them up with an aircraft gun on the searchlight.
But to pick out a target would have been difficult at night.
Yeah.
And coming back had to be difficult.
Yeah.
Landing at night. I mean, you had to have an account.
See, they didn't fly in formation.
No?
We did. We had 3 squadrons, and it was 10 planes in each formation. It was loop, boop, boop, like that. It was, let's see, kind of like this. 1, 2, 3. And so there'd be 3 planes in each one of those. So the lead plane, there's 3 over here, 3 over here, and 3 over here. 10 planes.
Right.
And you could practically see the pilot if you were get up close enough, or even flying.
The pilot on your neighbor in the formation. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of formation were the British using?
Nothing. Random.
Just.
As far as I know,
Right.
they just went in with maybe 50 or 60 planes. Well, they've put up 1,000, but they just go up and they just have to watch, and then I suppose they would have lights, some kind of lights on their planes. So,
I didn't realize.
but we got this one, then I'll quit. But we came back one time from Munich, and we were a mess. Had 130 some holes in that ship. Didn't hit a person, and but it knocked off one of the controls for one of the wings. I don't know which one it was. And well, we finally got to England, and we over there they have balloons up about 2 or 300 feet, and they have their wire.
Over in Germany.
No.
Over the
England.
Okay.
All over the coast there.
Okay.
They have all these balloons, and they have these wires holding them, and you have to dodge them or go up above them and then come back.
Was that like an anti-defense?
Yeah, it was for a defense.
Okay.
And so we came back, and Ken says, we haven't got much gas, so we better pick out a air base and land. We didn't have any air bases down southern part. Might have on the fighters, but we didn't have the bombers. And so he dodged the balloon.
The barrage balloons, that's what those were called.
Yeah. And he picked out this air base, and Jesus, he landed on it, and it was a grass runway. Well, he'd never even taken off on a grass runway. And it wasn't too long either. Well, we landed there, and the guys said, well, we'll fix it up. We'll fix it so you can go on home. So then they said, why don't you go in and eat? Geez, we went in the cafeteria, and they had stuff there, but they started separating the officers from the enlisted men. And Ken says, why do you want those guys to go over there? Well, you can't eat with the enlisted men. or the enlistment can't eat with you.
This is the British
Yeah,
telling you
air
this.
base.
Yes.
It was a Sterling air base. And Ken says, you tell those guys that they eat with me and we're going in here. And the English didn't like it because, you know, a pilot isn't rated as like it would be in the United States.
They didn't have
They don't have it like.
a high regard for the pilots.
Well, they weren't first lieutenants, or they were mostly sergeants, as far as I could tell.
Okay.
And they don't get paid anything. And here they are on pursuits. They're flying all the English pursuits, and they're flying sergeants. I mean, our pilots in the pursuit in the P-51 was a first lieutenant.
I see.
At first they were second, but they got up fast. So that's the way we ate that time. Gee, we went out and Ken took right off on that runway. He got it. Oh God, he had those engines. I thought they were going to shake right off the wing. He had them revved up, you know.
Because of the short runway?
Yeah, and he took off. Ken was an excellent pilot. I mean, we liked him very, very much.
That's the gentleman in the middle there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
This is Ken here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still alive, you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did he learn his flying? When he joined, or?
Yeah, he. I don't know where he went.
He's got a bit of a swagger in his picture. He looks like a very confident man.
Oh yeah, when we went up, we went up to see him a couple years ago, and Ann and I, we came up there and knocked on his door, and he came out, and I introduced Ann to him. He said, "Geez, you weren't a bad-looking broad."
Well, he's correct.
He was really something.
Well, you had to be confident with him at the controls, though.
Oh yeah. And our co-pilot was as skilled as Ken, but he didn't have the hours in a B-24. But he finally got his own plane, and crew, and he finished up that way. He was out. He flew for United for quite a long time, out in California.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Well,
I've enjoyed this, Charlie, and Ian. I appreciate it. If there's anything else you want to add, Charlie, you've been very. Your memory's great. You had some excellent recollections, and I've certainly learned a lot.
yeah.
But if
I'm sorry that I know two of my friends that we went to high school with here. One is dead, but he was on. He was in the Navy, flying the Navy B-24, and another one was in the Marine. No, let's see. Ken. He was in the Navy. No. He was in the Marines, flying B-24s, and then a good friend of mine, and Ken, he's dead, but the other guy, Manel, Les Manel, he's down in Florida, but he was in the Navy flying the 24s, in the 24. He was a gunner.
well, you had a lot to talk about.
Well,
after the service.
Well, I didn't see Ken. He died. He stayed in California. He never came back.
I see.
And he ended up being deputy sheriff out there. And the other one, Les, I stopped at his house one time in St. Petersburg. He didn't know who it was. His wife didn't either. She says, "There's somebody out here who wants to see you." And so when Les came, he finally dawned on who I was. but we hadn't seen anybody in years, you know.
Right. Well,
Yeah. Well,
I appreciate it.
I had a lot of fun in my life. 63 I learned a square dance, and in 64 I started calling square dancing.
Wow.
And I taught and had clubs and for 16 years. And we used to go, we put on, with this Jessup, we put on dances for the new dancers up at Carpenter Hayloft.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. And I had a club up in Watkins, and I had a club down in Binghamton. But
That was when
yeah,
I
I do those all night and work all day.
Really?
Yeah, had a lot of fun.
So you've always been a high energy guy, huh?
I thought I was,
Well,
but they've taken a lot of it out of me in the last couple years.
well, your health seems good, Charlie.
Well, it is now.
Good.
Pretty good.
Good.
Pretty good. Yeah. I had prostate cancer, and I had radiation and hormone shots, but the last time I saw the doctor, he told me I had a clean bill of health.
Great.
So what's the difference?
Great.
So
Well, all right. Well, Charlie,
okay.
Okay.
this has been very